Hey guys, what's going on? It's Neremik back in the video, and today I'm doing a top 5 countdown of my favourite Ace Attorney aces. Now, quite sadly, these were all from the first 3 games, so the original trilogy, which is Ace Attorney, Justice for All, and, quite clearly, Trials and Tribulations. Now, I was going to have one from Paul Justice on here, but then let's just say I realised that, well, to put it quite simply, I realised the second game existed, and, I'm not sure how I noticed that. So, Turnabout Corner got replaced. I actually enjoyed that case. But if you do enjoy this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, possibly subscribe if you want to see more countdowns for each ride. I'm actually currently doing a let's play the first 3 games in the Ace Attorney franchise, and I thought, just to sort of get myself into the mood, I'll do a countdown of my favourite cases. As always, spoilers are pretty much going to exist in this, but if you're fine with that and cool with that, let's get right onto the countdown. Turnabout Memories is the first case in the 3rd game in the Phoenix Wright trilogy, Trials and Tribulations. Now, you'd expect from a game named Phoenix Wright, you'd play as Phoenix Wright, but no, you play as his deceased mentor from the first game, Mia Fey, a couple of years before the actual first game takes place. Now, this has you defending no other than Phoenix Wright in the murder of a person called Doug Swallow. Now, to put it quite simply, he was electrocuted, and it's very good as an introductory case, because while the first game was very easy and it made you feel like a genius, the second case, I'm pretty sure somebody strangled themselves to death, okay. But this case, it hit just about the entire sense of, hey, look at this, and whoa, you feel small. Like, those are the feelings I sort of felt in this. I didn't feel overwhelmed like I did in any other sort of opening case, including, every other thing, so that probably stretches to Dual Destinies, the game I'm currently playing through, Paul Justice, all those other games. I think this is probably the best opening, trial to date because of just how it's laid out in the plot, because you get really invested into see how, Phoenix and Mia originally met together, and just sort of how that kicked off their entire careers together. Now, the actual culprit in this case, again, I did alert you with spoilers, is actually somebody called Dolly Hawthorne, which pops up in not just one case in this game, but 3 cases in this game. And she's also Phoenix's, let's just say, girlfriend in very big quotation marks. And to put it quite simply, I find it to be very well written in the sense that instead of, them admitting their guilt right off the bat, they've actually previously committed other crimes, which Mia has also appeared in court for, this being Mia's second trial quite clearly. Now, I think this is very good because Phoenix thinks the person that's actually in court is his girlfriend, when in, let's just say, Bridge to Turnabout, the final case in the game, it's actually revealed not to be the case. Overall, I find this to be a really solid case. I find it to, when it's put together with all the other things, so Turnabout Beginnings and Bridge to Turnabout, it's very, it's part of a big overarching plot that you don't see it starting, so it just sort of appears out of nowhere, and it surprises me for that, and I have to say, I amend it for that. And with that, I have to say, you have the defendant, you have a captivating story, captivated me, and I found myself thinking, I am a genius, like I did with the other 2 opening cases in the trilogy. Anyway, with that, let's get on to number 4. In the number 4 spot, we have the previously mentioned Bridge to Turnabout. It's part of the overarching plot of the final game in the Phoenix Wright trilogy, Trials and Tribulations. Now, it ties together quite perfectly cases 1 and 4, which include Dolly and Hawthorne, and it brings all together to the climax. It even includes characters from the second game. When I first played it, I felt slightly overwhelmed because I'd heard all this praise about it, but when I got to the end of it, I knew I was going to enjoy this case. And it also includes my favourite, music track, however you even put it from the 3rd game. I don't really enjoy Fragrance of Dark Coffee that much because I'm not that into jazz, but I have to say, Investigation Middle 2004 is absolutely brilliant. That's my favourite thing, and it's the only time that I really heard it in that game, so I just have to give the case props to that. Anyway, the plot of the case is quite simple. Maya and Pearl decide to go to a retreat in the mountains to do some spirit training, and Phoenix doesn't want to come. And then he sees whoever, surprise, it's Dolly Hawthorne. And so he's pretty interested by his girlfriend, which was put to death after being found guilty in case 1, almost in case 4, for murder twice, and framing and getting an innocent man convicted, is possibly still alive. So he decides to go and investigate. Turns out that isn't actually his ex, it's somebody called Iris, who just looks very similar to her, which comes into play later. Now, later in the night, after he's met somebody called Elise Dorkson, and Larry Boss is also there, training under her to be a photographer / children's drawing artist, he hears a scream, and it is a non-bikini, who is the head nun, and she has discovered the body of Elise Dorkson. Now, Phoenix goes to the bridge because, well, Maya's training on the side of said bridge, hence the name, Bridge to Turnabout, because the bridge is it's quite on fire, so that causes a big problem for Phoenix, and Larry's also here at this point. And Phoenix decides to make the decision to try and go over the bridge to find Maya to make sure she's okay. However, as he's going across this burning bridge made of wood, and it's quite rickety, the bridge collapses and he falls into the river below. And pretty much the case continues from there. Now, I'm going to leave the plot summary at that. However, with Phoenix out of action, of course, the police come and investigate, and the suspect is none other than the person who looks like his ex, Iris. So, Phoenix is out of action. So what do you think we can do for the first day of this investigation? You know, Apollo Justice forehand? No, that's too obvious. Play as Detective Gumshoe? That would be a really good game. No. However, everybody's fan favourite prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth, gets requested by Larry, or some other character. I haven't played this Turnabout in a while, but he basically gets informed that Phoenix has fallen off bridge and he wants him to do an investigation for him while he's out of action for the first day and trial of the investigation. So Edgeworth does an investigation, and I have to say, I found myself just getting a decent chuckle out of what he says, because it's Edgeworth. Instead of Phoenix sort of goofing around with Maya, it's very Edgeworthy, sort of cold, serious. And it actually brought back the idea of playing Edgeworth in Miles Edgeworth Investigations. And apparently that game is quite good from what I've heard. I actually haven't played it, I'm still looking for a copy. However, so Edgeworth does an investigation and he doesn't really get anywhere. He finds like vehicles here and there, but it comes to the actual trial. Now the prosecutor for most of the game, Godot, isn't actually there. So again, that's raising some alarm bells, like he just seemed to vanish off the face of the earth when Phoenix wasn't involved. Now, that comes back into play later in the tournament, don't worry. So, we get a return from another prosecutor now. The prosecutor from the first game, Edgeworth, isn't there. We can't have Winston Payne because the trial will be over in about 10 minutes. And so that leaves only one prosecutor to come back. Franziska von Karma, Whip Woman herself. Basically, the entire trial of the first one is discrediting Larry because apparently he saw somebody fly over the bridge. I just couldn't stop laughing at that. He saw somebody fly over the bridge. I mean, we've had spirit channeling. However, flying over the top of a burning bridge, and you drew it? Yeah. That's what we're in for this turnabout. They went all out with this turnabout. So, you're in this courtroom, Franziska's whipping Larry to hell and back, who wouldn't at this rate? But then it comes to the actual next day, and Phoenix somehow manages to recover with a slight cold. And this, also, I'd just like to bring up now, this is actually where he reads the first case and fourth case while he's in hospital, being bored. So Phoenix comes back, he does an investigation, it turns out the true killer, it turns out to be Maya in this court turnabout somehow, and then you manage to pin it on the rival prosecutor for most of the game, Godot, and you manage to prove it. There's not really much logic, but I just sort of went through my character list. I'm like, can't be me, can't be Maya if she's truly innocent, she's dead, she's the defendant, oh look, it's Godot, press you. And to be honest, I didn't really like Godot that much, I just liked the fact that he drank coffee. So yeah, Richard Cinema, it did a lot of stuff right, it has my favourite thing in it, it has such a good plot, okay? Like, if I'm going to recommend anybody who likes a decent little mind puzzle solve, anybody that enjoys Professor Layton, one of my monomat, well, if anybody likes a good overarching plot, I'd recommend them Trials and Tribulations right after playing the first game. Because, you know, you can skip Justice for All except for one case. But with that pretty much gives something. This has probably the best plot in the entire series. And even though I don't have much personal bias towards it, in fact, I don't enjoy most of Trials and Tribulations, perhaps. It's just, I find it quite bland. However, I do enjoy the plot, the cases, and the actual character development in it. It's just the pacing of the game. But with that, let's get on to number 3. For number 3, we're going back to the year that started it all, 2001, and then Phoenix Wright was birthed onto the world in that year too, and that created this turnabout. Turnabout Sisters. Now, after playing through the first case of the first game, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, you think, okay, Mia's gonna be by my side, you know, me and her solving crime together, and then you watch the opening cutscene. Yeah, she dead. So, it turns out that Mia is the victim in this case, and once she goes to investigate, you find her sister Maya, who becomes a recurring character in the series after this case, crying over her body. Now, she instantly becomes a suspect because of a piece of paper written down on her, and you get introduced to all sorts of wacky events. You have April May, and we'll leave it at that. You have Red White, the person who runs an entire blackmail company. You have her previous mentor, Marvin Grossberg. And this is the first introduction to Edgeworth too, along with many other characters such as Detective Gumshoe. Now, this case I originally played while I was in a very, very bustling city. Now, I'm not going to say what city it was clearly, but I just have to say this is this is the city I began playing it. Now, this is sort of, I think I have a personal bias towards this case, but whenever I go back and I think of this case, I have really fond memories of it. And I have no reason why, but I was in a bustling city, and I just have to say, the entire feeling that Turnabout Sisters gives off with, the mobile phone thing, it just sort of radiates a really big sense of nostalgia, which is why I think even back in 2001, when people first played this game, they could enjoy it for what it was, whereas nowadays you're getting all these old-style mobile phones, ringtones, and, concepts and words, and they're getting thrown at you for the first time in the game, and you think, wow, okay, and you just feel a little bit happy, even though it's a murder case. But eventually you get some really good characters in there. I think Red White is probably the most hated character that I've ever met in Phoenix Wright, and that's surpassing all of people. And then you have Maya. I mean, this is the case which introduced the Maya. I mean, she went missing for 2 games after Trials and Tribulations, and, well, an entire case in Trials and Tribulations, may I add. However, it sets a lot of things in motion, and I think this case is quite iconic for the fact, well, your mentor, which you thought was going to be by your side always, they die, and it sets up the thing that anything can happen at any time, and I think our next case will lay that in better than any of the case. But overall, this case is very, very, very well written. I really did like the plot twist. I thought it would just start off with another person being murdered, but they got right into telling you no one is safe. You would have to deal with this on your own. But I think in place of Mia, we got something even better. And the ending to that case, just that ballad. It gets me every single time. But with that, let's get on to number 2. Right, let's be honest for a second, who didn't see this one coming? In number 2 we have Farewell My Turnabout, the final case from the second game in the series, Justice for All. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of this case, it's quite ironic in a game where, let's just say, every other case was, mediocre. Except the second case, that was pretty good. But basically, the plot of this case is you and Maya and Pearl and, Pals, the defendant from the third case from the first game, all go to a superhero Grand Prix, pretty much a popularity contest. And the 2 contestants which are normally battling out, you have Drumming Ninja and you have the Nickel Samurai. Now, again, this Nickel Samurai is a spin-off from the first case from the third case, and I have to say, it just called back the memories I have with that, because I quite enjoyed the third case. So basically, a murder happens. However, just after this murder happens, if you're gonna take into account whenever it happened, Maya says there's a phone call waiting for her at the front desk, and she gets kidnapped by an assassin called Day Killer. Now basically he says, okay, yeah, don't tell anybody about this, I've kidnapped Maya, and the person that's just been arrested, Matt Angard, who plays the Nickel Samurai, is innocent. And you basically much go through your entire investigation, like you with any other game, believing your client is innocent and that they are telling the truth. So you go through the first day of investigation, it's quite slow, you find some things that think it would pin towards Adrian Andrews, and then the first trial comes along. However, here's the thing, he said you want to clean the quick acquittal, and you have to get it done by the first trial. However, Adrian Andrews refuses to testify on certain matters which, would quite clearly pin her as a potential suspect and begin to, sort of prove this is all not what we've seen and all that. However, she refuses to testify and that postpones the trial for another day. However, Phoenix doesn't have that time. Basically, you're told in this very beginning of the basic case, before the murder even happens, that you have to get an acquittal first day in the trial. Now, I remember when I saw this, my heart was pumping, okay? Then that was on a car ride, my heart was pumping, I was just fueled with adrenaline, I was hoping it didn't actually come to that and that I would be able to just get through it, be pushed through it. And I have to say, when Maya was originally kidnapped, I was very happy because, let's just say this, all the other cases in the game, including that case, I have to say, they were very long, and just to see that I'd have a single day investigation and single day trial, it actually made me very happy. But then we get another day from the assassin because he probably saw how well we did in court, something along the lines of that. You also get a few scenes with Maya where she's kidnapped, and that's all good and fair. So the second day of the investigations come along, and you find more and more things which would pretty much incriminate Angard, like a camera in his room, and you find out that in Warren Corridy's room where he was murdered, there was a bear which was sent by On Guard to spy on him. It was a transmitter every now and then because the signal for the walkie-talkie get given by the murderer to communicate with him whenever he wished to. The signal got interrupted around 7 PM. So what everybody comes to consensus is that this recorded whoever murdered him, and nobody's actually suspecting the guy over the phone now. I'm not sure why, but I do have to say, I'm sort of backtracking why, but when Phoenix goes to, Gumshoe and says, hey, this happened, I have to say I found that quite good. But at the end of the final day, you go on a wild goose chase, and it all culminates to you being with On Guard with more sight clocks, which are pretty much the gimmick of this entire game, to be honest. But you have the sight clocks, and then you break two of them, and then you'd expect him to be innocent. In the show, you have the subtitles, please don't let it be real. But either way, when he flicks his hair back and pulls out a glass of poison, let's just say, I'm pretty sure he threw my 3DS on the floor. And that wasn't because it ran out of charge, like, a second after. But yeah, he betrays you. So after I got my 3DS back up and charged it once I was home, so basically Matt and God betrays you. And you now have to defend the guilty person in court. So Adrian Andrews didn't do it, but you have to make sure he gets a not guilty verdict, otherwise Maya gets murdered. So, you're already a big dilemma here. So after betraying, you go into the final case, and you have to postpone and stall as long as possible while Gumshoe searches for Maya. However, the night before, when you could have got Maya, when you arrive at the house where she was being held hostage, which is a guard's house with the assassin hired as his butler, she's already been taken. So Gumshoe is searching for a non-stop, and she channels Mia at one point in the trial. And then Mia takes notes of things, and then Pearl channels Mia in one of the intervals of the actual final trial, and that tells Gumshoe exactly where she is over the phone, and they race there, and they get evidence. So while you're stalling for more and more time, you know that, as you're getting closer and closer to incriminating Adrian Andrews, which isn't the actual culprit of this case, we get closer and closer and closer, and you feel Phoenix sort of beginning to regret its decision, and you see him beginning to force a smile, and it goes on for so long, and you eventually get Maya's kidnapper on the phone. And by this point, Adrian Andrews has a card in the hand, and at the end of the first trial, I believe, she actually gets asked by Miles Edgeworth, the best prosecutor in the series, may I add, what it is, and they're trying to prove who hired the assassin at this point. And they almost prove that it's her. They almost prove they have a motive. And then, just as you get to prove that they're guilty, basically, Edgeworth resigns from the prosecution, you get to choose the verdict. Do you choose not guilty? Do you let Maya be saved, but let Adrian Andrews be killed in, Maya's place? Or do you choose guilty? Do you let Maya be killed, but do you make sure On Guard does not go free after being such a backstabbing traitor? But before you can make that, Franziska von Karma comes on in, the actual prosecutor for this entire game. Forgot to mention that, but she comes on in with evidence, and the main piece of evidence here is the fact that there's a VHS tape which shows him being murdered. Now, at this point in time, you've already cross-examined a lot of people, including the murderer over the walkie-talkie. So you show this to him, and you prove that it was On Guard which filmed this, because, it was found at his house. Because, it ties together, okay? I'm not the best at explaining spot. But basically, how it happens is that you say, hey, look, he recorded you doing this for blackmail on you, so he could, prove who you were. And On Guard, pretty much begins to break down him, because earlier in the trial, Shelley Day Killer says, I hate traits most of all, and if somebody was to blackmail me, they've been my next target and all that. And we prove that, and we make him break his contract with Matt and God, and we make him wish for a guilty verdict. And I have to say, whichever one you choose, guilty or not guilty, he scratches his face off twice, which is all the more satisfying. Wish I know that when I first played it, but I actually have saved there. But when he finally just scratches his face and you've won, is brilliant. And the fact this case also has an alternate ending if you don't present the correct thing to the correct person, a very fine choice in the game, then you actually get a bad ending where Myra's never seen again and On Guard goes free. And I have to say, that entire plot in itself is amazing, but the fact that we're returning characters like Adrian Andrews, played by Samurai, and Matt On Guard being the replacement for the Samurai, I just have to say, this entire thing was Turnabout Samurai just revved up a couple of notches with a, blackmail plot and all that. And I just have to say, the other plots, including, somebody's suicide motives, it's just such a great thing. And I'm so glad that it's made it onto this list. Finally, in our number 1 spot, we have Turnabout Big Top. Yeah, I'm just kidding, who will actually put that on the list. Yeah, it's actually Turnabout Goodbyes, the case where you defend Edgeworth, the final case of the first game, unless you count, that one. So, yeah. Turnabout Goodbyes has you defending Edgeworth for the murder of somebody called Robert Hammond, or so they think. So basically, Edgeworth is on a boat with somebody who is apparently Robert Hammond, but turns out to be not Robert Hammond. It's actually a person who was thought to have murdered Edgeworth's father in an oxygen-deprived lift multiple years ago with Yanni Yogi, who was a court bailiff, because there was a court blackout. But it turns out, as you investigate through more and more, that this old man is actually that person. You begin to reveal his identity, but you need to figure out who sent the letter with instructions to it, and you finally figure out that the one trial before Edgeworth's father was actually killed, that Von Karma, the prosecutor for this case, actually had a blow dealt to his perfect twin record where he received a penalty because he exposed him for, basically his dirty tactics during court. Now, of course, when he got the opportunity, because of course Blade has a gun, surprisingly in this, when he saw them all passed out in the lift when the door opened, he shot him, and that turns out that when Edgeworth threw a gun, all these years he thought he shot his dad, Sequoia, but he actually shot Von Karma, and, he thought that Gregory Edgeworth had shot him, so he actually killed him out of a fit of rage, and then you have to go through the trial proving it, and eventually, in Trial Day 2, you get tased by Von Karma, who's stealing all the evidence for the DLC 6, which is the incident number that was actually given to the case in the elevator. But in the end, eventually, you manage to prove that Von Karma did it, and when that corner theme begins to play, and you have Von Karma on the final thing, because Maya grabs a bullet out of his hand, right before you're about to get tased, but once you get in there, you've got him, you're pinning in the final sort of nails in his coffin, hammering them in, and then when you drive that final one home, and he screams, and Edgeworth says that was the scream he heard in the elevator, and it wasn't his father's scream, because that's the reason, that's actually the basis of why he confesses in the trial, because he thinks he actually killed his father. And that is just one of probably the most iconic moments in Ace Attorney history, where you have Von Karma against the wall, corners playing knees and mashing your head, and it feels so satisfying for a trial to end with 3 trials in the case, and it just, I just have to say this trial did a lot of stuff right. It chose the perfect defendant to end on, and it gave a lot about Phoenix's past, it gave a lot about Edgeworth's past, and all that character development right to one of the best cases in Ace Attorney history. So with that all concluding and all that, I have a feeling this is going to be a very long video to actually edit. What was actually your favourite case in Phoenix Wright trilogy? I'd like to actually know your opinions. Do you agree with my honourable mentions? Do you think you'd rearrange this list? And what do you think? Do you think my opinions are justified? Not? Do you think that those cases deserve to be the number 1 spot? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching, guys. My name's Neremik, and peace out.